Good evening and welcome to the Private Property Podcast. My name is Sibs Matiela and I'm your brand new host. We're here to talk about all things property because here at privateproperty.co.za, our aim and our game is connecting you to the heart of property. Today's guest is Bradd Bendall from BetterBond. He's the head of sales there. And we're going to talk about what is a bond, how to apply and negotiate loans. But before we get to that, I need to remind you, all roads lead to the property show.
This year, we're back in real life and virtual with content generated in our metaverse studio. We've designed the exhibition space to replicate the world's most popular property game and added in activities for the whole family, including an indoor park and play area. The game board is divided into 4 journeys, namely First-Time Homebuyers Boulevard, Investment Avenue, Sellers Street, and Renters Road. Visit thepropertyshow.co.za for more information and to get your tickets today. The Property Show 2022, 27th to the 28th of August at the Sandton Convention Center. No matter where you are on your property journey, we've gathered the experts.
Listen, at privateproperty.co.za, we are connecting you to the heart of property, which is why we are hosting the Property Show, which is happening on the 27th and 28th of August 2022. And you should please join us at the Sandton Convention Center. You can join us digitally as well, anywhere in the world, or virtually rather, from anywhere in the world. But it would be better if you were here in real life because, as you can see today, I'm the lady in the trench coat who shows up, and then so I'll be there as well. Then we can all be there, and then we can do fun property things as well. Wink, wink. If you want to win yourself a ticket and 500 Rand, if you interact like you're the most interactive person on the episodes and in the comment sections, let me tell you, you might walk away with tickets to the property show and a bit of cash in your pocket. Back to today's episode, though, we are speaking to Bradd Bendall, who's the head of sales at BetterBond. We're going to talk about what is a bond, how to negotiate the best home loan for yourself, and I don't know anything about it, but Bradd does. Welcome, Bradd. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sibs. Very nice to be with you, and I look forward to the property show on the 27th.
Will you be there?
Definitely.
Is it the trench coat that sold you?
It's the trench coat that did it for me, Sibs.
Listen, at BetterBond, you're known to provide bonds for property investors. What is a bond? Let's start at the very beginning. What is a bond? Why is it important? Why is it necessary now for me to get a bond? I'm trying to buy a house.
Well, a bond is similar to what you would do when you purchase a car. You get finance from one of the banks, and they then assist you with obviously owning that home and financing that home over a period of time, an agreed period of time. Ordinarily, a bond in South Africa is structured over 20 years, and it's set at a certain interest rate. Either a variable interest rate or a fixed interest rate, depending on what the client's choice is.
Bradd, what type of home loans do you guys offer at BetterBond?
Well, we only do residential home loans, and we work with all the major banks and some of the ancillary banks as well. And so, home loans in South Africa, it's not like the UK where you have many different home loan products. In South Africa, a home loan is a pretty stock standard product. The only thing that really changes is the interest rate that the bank provides.
What are the procedures and processes that are most essential to get a bond approval?
Well, I think, Sibs, the most important thing is to get pre-approved. You go through a pre-approval process with ourselves or one of the other originators, and ensure that you understand implicitly what you can afford, and also importantly get out of the way any inhibitors. So you may have some issue on your credit scoring, etc. And by being pre-approved, you get all of that out the way. So that's step one. Step two is you go and look for your the property you want to purchase, and you sign an offer to purchase, and then you come back to us with that offer to purchase, and then we apply for the home loan for you or on behalf of you. And ordinarily we apply to all the major banks, which is the differentiator in terms of how an originator works. And what we do is we go and secure the best possible deal for you as the home buyer.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I suppose as a first-time home buyer, perhaps you think, oh, I've been banking with this particular bank all of my life. I had one of those kiddies accounts from when I was 10 years old. Surely that's the first place I would go and the best deal that I will probably get. So I think with BetterBond now doing a comparative study on your behalf on who can give you the best deal is like really, really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, Sibs, it's a lot like if you've ever heard that ad for on radio, Hippo, where they go and find you the best insurance quote for your cars or your content insurance, etc. We're a lot like that. We go and ensure that not only do we get you the best possible rate, but we get the best possible rate for you from your bank. So your bank will be far more competitive. They want to retain your business. They want to retain you as a client. And so they will compete with the other banks to ensure that you get the best possible rate.
Bradd, what crucial advice would you give to first-time home buyers?
Well, I think firstly to ensure, as I said previously, to be pre-approved, so that you understand what you can buy, you can purchase for, because you may think that you can purchase for a certain amount, but it may be a lot less or maybe a lot more. So a pre-approval process certainly assists you in that regard. And then I think not from so much an origination point of view, but I think it's really, really important that you deal with reputable estate agents who are going to give you the best advice regarding the properties or the areas that you are potentially looking to buy in. And then, for a first-time home buyer, there are a host of bits of advice in terms of ensuring you buy in the best areas and ensure you check the purchase prices against what properties have sold for in that area over the last 12 to 24 months or even longer. And then obviously use an originator to ensure that you get the best possible rate.
I want to ask you, along these lines of the advice that you'd give a first-time home buyer, I think a lot of people, most recently, we've seen a trend of people opting to be self-employed. It's not the traditional work structures that we're dealing with anymore. So when it comes to now having a pay slip, for instance, that you can produce, oh, these are the last couple of months what I've been earning, or in my household, the income can differ from month to month because some of us are self-employed, some of us are freelancers, and we're dealing with non-traditional forms of income and multiple streams of income that are not necessarily stable or will stay the same every month. And so when you're in that position, you almost think, oh, there's no way I could qualify for a bond. There's no way I could get pre-approval. And I'm curious as to what advice you'd give to people like that, people like me.
Well, I mean, so that's even more reason to use an originator, because we understand which banks have an appetite for self-employed persons. And then also we understand what information they require, and how we can put different streams of income together to ensure that they have the information available to make a decision on whether to finance you or not. So it is more complex. It's not a guarantee for a self-employed person that they will secure a bond finance. But I can assure you that working with an originator and like BetterBond will give you a far better chance of qualifying for a home finance.
Bradd, you guys also offer home insurance. Could you give us more details on that and what it means for the investor?
Yeah, so we offer life insurance, so that's the life of the bondholder. We offer homeowners cover, which is bricks and mortar. So bricks and mortar means that if you turn the house upside down and everything that falls out of the house, we would insure everything other than that, everything other than the stuff that falls out of the house. However, we do also do content cover, and really, at the end of the day, this is also an important point, Sibs, because we are a consumer champion at the end of the day, and we look after the consumer. So we ensure that the consumer gets the best possible rate, not only for their home finance, or the interest rate for their home finance, but also for their homeowners cover, their life insurance, and their content cover.
I mean, it goes without saying that home buyers try to get the best deals, especially when they come to you at BetterBond. And I know you just touched on this as being the, champion of the consumer. In terms of negotiating those best interest rates, what advice do you usually give clients?
Well, the interest rates that the bank are going to present you are much to do with your credit scoring. So it's really, really important that when you are applying for home finance, that your credit cards and your store cards, etc., are paid up or almost paid up, and are not sitting at maximum at all times, because that affects your credit scoring. So it's all about keeping a clean credit score at the point up to and including at the point that you apply for that home finance. And that way, the banks look favorably upon that person. Also, an interest rate could be dependent on the level of deposit that buyer is prepared to put down. Banks look favorably on that. When the less deposit, generally the higher the interest rate. But it's not a rule, to be clear. So the more you can give the bank, the more comfort you can give the bank, the better the interest rate is going to be.
From what we've seen, Bradd, it seems like there's a decreasing demand in investment property right now in the market. What's your take on this, especially as the head of sales, at BetterBonds? What trends are you seeing now in the property market?
Yeah, Sibs, I mean, as you know, we are experiencing an increasing interest rate cycle at the moment, which happens from time to time, and that puts pressure on the market. So we are seeing intake, which bond applications reducing by about 10% year on year. So that's July 2022 versus July 2021. And I think one has to take that within context. The interest rate hikes have been pretty severe. The last interest rate hike was 75 basis points, which is the highest interest rate hike we've seen in many, many years, or single interest rate hike. And that gives people the jitters. It affects consumer confidence, and that coupled with the inflation rate in June of 7.5% against a target of, I think, 6.8 was also a concern. So there are some external factors that are affecting the market at the moment. Inflation is being affected by things that are way out of South Africans' control, and mainly centered around the Ukrainian war, the Russian-Ukrainian war. So those things affect food prices, which is inflation, oil prices, and so we are seeing a slight decrease in intake. Interestingly, though, we're seeing an increase in grants in the 3 million plus categories, price categories, and then also we're seeing a 19% increase in the 2.5 to 3 million rand price category, which is an interesting trend, and we'll certainly keep on that. In terms of a house price, it's fairly steady at the moment. At around the average purchase price is around about 1.3 million at the moment.
So do you see more positive changes happening, or do you predict more positive changes happening in the near future?
Sibs, from your mouth to God's ears, we'd love to be the ones to say, we see a positive market forecast. It's difficult to say at the moment. As I said, some of these things are out of our control and very, very difficult to forecast. But if one goes back a couple of years, we were sitting at pre-COVID rates of 15%, interest rates of 15%. So we think that the interest rate will continue to climb up to around about 10.25%. I think it'll settle around there over the next 6 to 12 months, and that again is going to put pressure on the home market, unfortunately. But we remain positive. I think we at BetterBond continue to look for ways to ensure that we can house or assist people in owning their own homes and continuing to fulfill their dreams.
What's next in store for BetterBond?
Yeah, as I said, Sibs, I mean, we our mission is to ensure that we assist people to own as many South Africans to own their own homes, and we continue to look at ways to make that happen. So whether that is through alternate financing methods, whether it's through assisting clients through the buying and selling process, there are many ways that we believe we can still add value, and we're very excited about the future at BetterBond, and how we can make South Africans' dreams come true.
This is a personal question, Bradd. How did you buy your first house?
As in, did I finance it, or was it given to me?
No, like, what was your experience? Yeah, like, I'm coming to BetterBond and I'm like trying to get into the property market. I'm trying to own my first home. You think back to when it was your first time doing this, and what are those memories like for you? What do you recall?
I must be honest with you, Sibs. Firstly, you're making me give away my age, so that's a real concern. But I purchased my first home when I was 24 years old, some 30 years ago. And it was a frightening experience, to be honest. There were no bond originators at the time. You were pretty much reliant on your own bank. And then in those days, there were things called building societies and organizations called building societies. And they generally were the ones that gave you a home loan. And you dived in, boots and all. You didn't quite know what you were doing. You didn't quite know how to negotiate an interest rate or what the insurance was all about, etc. So, it was a scary experience. Obviously, owning your own home is always an exciting moment in your life, but it was a frightening experience, and I only wish that I had had an originator to assist me then, because I'm sure it would have been a vastly different experience. But yeah, I mean, things have changed. We've got more information available to us now, and we are able to empower the home buyer with fantastic experience and fantastic products that allow them to make the right choices.
I'm really glad and grateful that there's people like you and BetterBond who are out here trying to make the experience less frightening and less scary for the rest of us who are yet to do it. So thank you so much, Bradd, for joining us today. That's Bradd Bendall, the head of sales at BetterBond, telling us about bonds and how to get one, how to secure a home loan. I hope to speak to you again in future, because I feel like we've got much more to discuss.
Thank you, Sibs. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I hope to see you at the property show, Bradd, on the 27th and the 28th of August at the Sandton Convention Centre.
In our trench coats, Sibs.
I'm Inspector Gadget. Here we go. Thanks so much, Bradd Bendall. Listen, if you want to make your way to the property show, you can click in the link in the comments section to get your hands on a ticket, but someone is about to walk away with $500 and a ticket for free, and that person is Laurie Naidu. Congratulations to you. You walk away with $500 and tickets to the property show happening right here at the Sandton Convention Centre on the 27th and 28th of August, brought to you by privateproperty.co.za, as is this podcast. Thank you for joining me this evening, and I will see you again tomorrow.
This year, we're back, in real life and virtual with content generated in our metaverse studio. We've designed the exhibition space to replicate the world's most popular property game and added in activities for the whole family, including an indoor park and play area. The game board is divided into 4 journeys, namely First-Time Homebuyers Boulevard, Investment Avenue, Sellers Street, and Renters Road. Visit thepropertyshow.co.za for more information and to get your tickets today. The Property Show 2022, 27th to the 28th of August at the Santon Convention Center. No matter where you are on your property journey,